Hello and welcome to GeograPod, a podcast about geography, with your host, Will Mehle. Today, for our second episode, we will be continuing our discussion on the importance of place and how place isn't necessarily defined by how it looks on a map. We generally think of the world in terms of borders and homogeneous populations, but that's not always accurate. Just within the United States, moving across a couple states can monumentally affect how you view the world, how you interact with your environment, and how you interact with other people. Today, we'll be talking with 4 different people who now live in Albuquerque, but have previously lived in other places. We'll be talking about the differences between those places, how they've learned to adapt, and what place means to them. Hello, if you could introduce yourself and say where you're from.
Hi, my name is Cameron Zamora, and I am from Ramona, California.
I'm Chris, and I'm from Colorado.
Hi, my name is Sarah Arrowsmith, and I'm from Plymouth, Massachusetts.
I'm Jack, and I am from Pennsylvania.
And what's something unique about either your hometown or your home state?
Something unique about Ramona is that Ramona likes to think of itself as a very small town. There was actually a Target. We were going to get Target coming in at one point. Whoever was in charge basically said, no, we can't have a Target in this empty, unused lot that's perfectly Target-sized because we need to keep our small town atmosphere. The only problem with that is Ramona's not really that small of a town. Maybe in the scale of California, but even then it's not that small. Ramona has a population of 25,000 people. For some reason, people just keep holding on to this idea that Ramona is a small town. And it's really kind of strange, really.
Direction is known in Colorado because of the mountains, because mountains are always west. So whenever I'm anywhere else, I have no clue where to go because I don't know where west is.
Well, Plymouth, Mass. is a very large tourist destination, well known, fairly large across the United States for being like America's hometown because it is where the Pilgrims landed and ended up setting up the first sort of successful colony. Not that Jamestown in Virginia wasn't successful, but Plymouth was more successful. There's a lot to do and visit in Plymouth because of its status as a tourist destination. There's this rock that's said to be the rock that the Pilgrims first stepped on, named Plymouth Rock. It's engraved with 1620 and in this big sort of temple. Over 1 million people visit it a year, which is really funny. And there's also a museum that is the oldest continuous running museum in the United States called the Pilgrim Hall Museum. They have a collection of artifacts that may or may not have come over on the Mayflower, as well as a lot of artifacts that were donated by local Wampanoag people to sort of balance it.
Pennsylvania, unlike some of the other states surrounding it, as one of the first states you would expect it to have like a bunch of like people in politics from that state like back in the 1700s, but our only president is James Buchanan, and he was terrible, and other states surrounding us like New York and Virginia have a bunch of other presidents, and we only have one.
Would you say that your state has a fundamentally different culture from other places in the United States?
Maybe not fundamentally, but it does have its like little aspects that are different, which is really cool.
I would say so, yeah. Maybe not Massachusetts, but the culture of New England itself is very different from other regions in the nation. Something I know that is very unique to Massachusetts is calling water fountains bubblers and calling roundabouts rotaries. Those are the 2 big things I can think of.
Those are very different.
The usage of the word wicked as a describer. So like wicked cool.
Hey, so what's something that you do to connect with your home state?
One of the main things is I watch the Nuggets religiously. I also wear my jerseys around, shirts, and everything around campus to kind of show off where I'm from and to support the team that I know and love.
So it's less something that I do, more something that I notice. So something that was really weird for me coming out here is a lot of the brands are different, like the major gas stations, grocery stores, like things like that. Like even places like chain places to get ice cream, they're all different out here. And something that has remained constant for me is Hershey's chocolate. Connects me back to Pennsylvania because the city of Hershey, named after Milton Hershey, is in Pennsylvania. It's where Chocolate World is. It's where Hershey Park is. And I grew up going to Hershey Park and going to Chocolate World and even going on tours in Hershey, which is just like an hour from my house. So that is how I feel connected to Pennsylvania.
So eating a Hershey chocolate bar is sort of something to do to bring you back home.
Basically, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Hershey bar, one of the old-time greats.
But this geographic diversity within the United States did not come about through pure happenstance. Geographic landmarks and differing ecoregions have had the effect of separating people and influencing cultures differently from others. To help illustrate how geographic features like rivers, valleys, and especially mountains can affect the mindset of groups, I'll refer back to my interview with Cameron Zamora from Ramona, California.
What people call San Diego is actually a lot larger than San Diego as a city. There's a lot of little cities by San Diego that just kind of get absorbed into the metropolitan area. Basically, you've got this massive area, then you have some mountains, and then you get to Ramona. And I feel like that separation there is maybe part of where this small town feeling comes from.
Obviously, the US is a very diverse place, but the conversation I just had with those four people really helps to illustrate how that diversity and how that difference between places within the US can affect individual lives. Geographic diversity has also been developed by the presence and absence of many different peoples and cultures. Before the arrival of the first European colonists to North America, the culture of the continent was formed by indigenous groups. The Algonquins and Iroquois in the northeast, the Choctaw and the Seminoles in the south, the Apache, Ute, and Navajo in the southwest, and many others throughout the continent helped to form the culture of their respective regions. The cultural regions formed by these peoples still have a tremendous impact on the U.S. today, with the American Southwest drawing a lot of its heritage from groups like the Navajo. Likewise, Sioux culture is still very strong in the Dakotas. Indigenous influence can even be seen in the naming of many states, cities, and even natural landmarks. Kansas, Missouri, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Utah are all named after indigenous groups. Cities of Cheyenne, Chickamauga, Wichita, and Seneca, as well as Lake Erie and Mount Denali, all have traditionally indigenous names. Additionally, the parts of the U.S. at first colonized by the Spanish now carry names reflected by that background. Think Los Angeles, San Diego, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Colorado, San Antonio, El Paso, and even Durango. On a different note, though, New York, New Hampshire, Georgia, Charleston, the Carolinas, and New Jersey all derive their names from English places and people. And French influence in colonization is why we have places named New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Des Moines. Even Somali and Scandinavian people have an important effect on the U.S. as they make up a lot of Minnesota's population. And Irish influence can be felt all across the country. Mexican culture and the Spanish language are similarly significant in the U.S., and while Protestant and Catholic Christianity dominate most of the U.S., Mormonism is the most prominent religion in both Utah and Idaho. Atheism and agnosticism, though, have also had increasing presence in the recent decades. All of these influences and more have really helped to define the U.S. as a culture and show that we aren't merely one homogeneous population, and that in reality, we have quite a lot of differences between us. But it's that diversity that makes the U.S. the very interesting place that it is. It's what allows people with completely different backgrounds to come together and work together as Americans. Anyways, I would like to thank Cameron Zamora, Chris Mather, Sarah Arrowsmith, and Jack Ambarian for taking the time to talk with me. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of GeograPod, and be sure to tune in again for some more geography-themed content as we start looking at specific places across the world. Next week, we look at the U.S. Southwest. Thank you, and goodbye. Hey, so here's a little bit extra of the interview with Jack Ambarian in case anybody wanted to hear a little bit more about that.
Our only president is James Buchanan, and he was terrible. And other states surrounding us, like New York and Virginia, have a bunch of other presidents, and we only have one.
That's not very good.
Go Biden.
Go Biden. Is he from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, he's from Scranton.
Oh, nice. That's a yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His wife went to Westchester. I have like 12 friends that go there.